They killed. Give me Isaiah 14 and 21. They did the same thing to my people. So you said that they put millions of my access. Should a murderer go to jail for murdering? Absolutely. Should a thief go to jail when he steals? Absolutely. Should a robber pay back the money he robbed? Absolutely. So why shouldn't the white man pay for what he did? That's right. One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog.
I'm in a hell of a hole, was never expected to grow. Just obstacles set in the road, that a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known. America was never our home, only a place of captivity, save facility, hating, disfigure me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me, maybe this slavery draining my energy. 400 years and counting, the trail of my tears is countless. The fact that I'm here is astounding, but I can't wait till this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king and the angel, be ready to rap. Cracking the sky, nuclear missiles are making it official. I'm capturing every crack and surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be, slavery for me. And let the whole world see the with them in the cages, safer in the streets. Put the dog on a leash, get resolved for the beast. 144, get the brutal show, we could all be at peace. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom be busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now. You'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. 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 Look, ain't no remorse in my blood slim. It won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next Glock I buy gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots off like farewell. Praying payback come back around like a carousel. Still remember YAHANNA's words ringing in my head like bells. Said you in his body, you fit the Lord, fuck the cartel. Triangle choke, apply pressure to the game like I did Bondale. Payback's a bitch in a dress. She a bombshell. Just dish served cold. I just hope they make an oxtail. Glock fresh out the box. I swear it got that new car smell. Made myself a target in a world of mad shooters. Devils designed fire for our babies to pass through it. In the day of our king's reign, I'll be overzealous. They bought my jealous, I bought brand new parabellums. You'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a
Shalom. How about you want to try back and talk to the brothers? Yahweh Shammah and Latan Basham Yashanti sisters. Welcome to another episode in the conflict zone. This week, you know what we're looking at? Yeah, tariffs again. You know, a lot of tariffs supposed to come in effect tomorrow, 2nd of April. Yeah. A lot of tariffs supposed to come in effect this month. And guess what? There is one that they are planning to do on Chinese ships that are built in China and seeking to use American ports. They're trying to put some tariff on that one. So we're going to look into that and see the possible implications that could have, that $1 million charge would have on businesses around this side. Yeah. Some seem to be preparing for some wars, both economic and physical war. So, we're living in a serious time. We used to say, I've been hearing that for a long time now, but, the Cold War period has been ended and, some new Cold War coming on the front now, which might not be just Cold War, but might turn out to be actual physical wars. But, in the event that something like that should go down, how would the Caribbean fare out, Looking at the Caribbean perspective, Benjamin perspective, Benjamin business perspective. All right, so we only got an hour. Let's dive into it. We're talking about two articles I want to read. One is, how will U.S. tariff affect business in the Caribbean? And one is where Ralph Gonzalez bring out that news about the tariffs on Chinese ship. All right, first one. How will U.S. tariff impact business in the Caribbean? Let's get this up on the screen and dive into it. All right, so this was posted Monday, March 31st, yesterday, 10:52 a.m. by Zoila Palma. The latest tariff announced by U.S. President Donald Trump on February 1st, 2025, targeting the U.S. three largest trading partners, Canada, Mexico, and China, are set to shake up global trade. So just by America touching its three major trading partners, they're expecting global trade to be shaken. All right. These new measures, part of Trump's America's first trade policy 2.0, include a 25% tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico and 10% tariff on China. Caribbean Trade Law reports. These tariffs aim to address illegal immigration and drug trafficking under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA. So this is they are now saying that, they've been saying this from the start. So the tariffs on Canada and Mexico is because of drugs coming in the Americas. Sorry, illegal immigrants. And I suppose the one from China is the drugs. So they are saying that this, what do you call it? The synthetic drug there. Forgot what they call it. That is, damaging American citizens, got them moving around like zombies. They are suspecting China behind that one. All right. So drug trafficking under International Emergency Economic Powers Act and will likely disrupt industries heavily dependent on cross-border supply chains. So they talk about the supply chain, so that has to do with like basically like it says you it's a chain. So think of a chain with links and things. So these are just goods and services that is going to dovetail into some other goods and service, right? They import, let's say a car dealer out there import car from China, Europe, America, wherever. That car comes in and just dovetail into his line of business. So everything that is imported is dovetail into some chain. While these moves will hurt manufacturers and jobs in the US, the ripple effect will be felt globally. That's the thing. That is why right across the world, economists, and people like us in the UPK will blow in the trumpet, let our people know that, hey, this is coming. There's nothing we, can do about it. We as Israelites can't do anything about it. Well, not even them America can do anything about it either. It's just the most are pushing them into war. So they are doing the things that would eventually lead to some kind of war. Economic first, and then it possibly could become a physically full-blown war. The Caribbean, with its reliance on US imports, may see higher prices in goods like food, electronics, and cars. So this is where the Caribbean comes in. Once you touch the food, the food prices going up in the Caribbean, then boy, you're talking about some serious implication, especially for the poor. Caribbean don't even plan to feed it. Not even to try. All right. We used to feed Europe, well, England. So why we can't feed ourselves within the Caribbean? Because the oppressor doesn't want that. The oppressor wants you to corn, where corn comes from, right? You buy that straight from in America. Corn, rice, you get rice from India or Guyana. And I'm just talking about the big things that we use in Jamaica. Corn for cornmeal is right across the island, right across the Caribbean. Rice, flour, that's a wheat. We don't produce that. So none of the things that we produce. Sugar, we used to produce sugar. We still produce some amount of sugar. But I think we also import sugar now. While we could have, continue running our local sugar factory for the purpose of our local market. Because England stopped buying the sugar now, we close them down and sell them out. Sell them to the Chinese. The Chinese close them down after. Not interested in that. Caribbean manufacturers facing increased costs for US source materials may need to explore alternative suppliers or increase intra-regional sourcing to offset the impact. Now, this is the part that I am advocating for. The intra-regional, meaning things that we can buy within the Caribbean to use for our purpose. We should buy them. Imagine, let's say I want to travel to the furthest point here, Guyana. Trinidad, Guyana. That airfare is so expensive. It's cheaper to just fly over Florida or some other place in the US. Right? It's too expensive to travel within the Caribbean. For Caribbean consumers and businesses involved in e-commerce, particularly those who buy and sell items from platforms like Shein and Temu, the new US tariff could significantly impact both pricing and supply chains. Many of these items are shipped from China to the US before being forwarded to the Caribbean for retail sale. Right, that's it. That's the other part. So many of the things that is bought from China really shipped into China, into the US, and then come to Jamaica or whichever Caribbean island it's going. Well, now our politicians will be seeing import. A while back, they talk about having a transshipment port within Jamaica, which didn't get off the ground. It turned out that they put China in charge of that. And what the Chinese really wanted to build was military bases. But a transshipment port would have served this time better for the Caribbean now. Many of these items are shipped from China to the US before being forwarded to the Caribbean for retail sale. The additional tariff on Chinese imports will likely raise costs for these goods as they pass through US ports, with those costs eventually passed down to consumers in Belize and other Caribbean nations. That's it. Retailers could see higher prices for popular items from Shein and Temu. Potentially reducing their profits margin or forcing them to increase prices for end customers. Eventually, that's what is going on. Because if say the businesses absorb the cost, the additional cost for the tariff, what it means is that their profit margin is going to be reduced. With a reduced profit margin in any business, after a while, if that business is not careful, they can't, for one day, no matter which business, you can't only marginal profit margin for a long time because other shock waves will be coming, and with a marginal cost, marginal profit margin, your business is going to topple. So eventually, these costs will have to be passed on back to the consumer. You have to just go into the cost of the goods. So in other words, our jeans don't cost $1,000 again. It costs $1,000 plus 10%. So that 1,100, and then you're gonna have to put on your markup. So you're not going to put on your markup on $1,000 again. Let's say your markup is at 20%. So you're not going to sell that jeans now for $1,200 because you are now paying $1,100 for it. So you have to sell it for $1,300 and some cents and some dollars. All right. So business-wise, the business community can hold the shock, but if it's permanent, if these tariffs become permanent, then after a while you're going to see some serious collapse. Because the governments in the West or wherever can look and say, well, you know, these businesses are now paying more for tariffs, so we're going to increase wages to match. That can't work. That can't work at all. This disruption could also lead to longer shipping times and greater unpredictability in inventory levels, as goods may face delays or higher fees due to tariff enforcement. There you have it. Tariff come on, goods face higher fees, or there could be delay clearing these goods because these businesses now have to find the increase in tariff. You're going to have to pay that upfront, unless for some automobile importers, they might have an inbound warehouse. If they have inbound warehouse, well, that's kind of good for them. They don't pay this tariff upfront. These tariffs are paid when the goods are being sold, not so for clothes and some most electronic item. You're going to have to pay these tariffs upfront. So, they have to find these extra monies to clear their goods. It's only, like I said, from automobile, it's a bit different. Automobile go into an inbound warehouse. So that warehouse now, in the inbound storage tariff, the government monitors it. Any motor vehicle going out, the tariff is paid at that time. So what these car dealers do now is when they make the sale from the money from the customer, and then just pay over the money for the tariff and take out the vehicle. So it's not a direct cost to them, the dealer, but they are the only one who enjoy this privilege. There's no inbound. I don't know of an inbound warehouse for electronic items and other goods. These people have to leave these goods in storage in the wharf, and they charge extra for storage. So that's another thing. So if they are not able to clear their goods same time, they are going to have to pay the extra for the storage. Plus, they're going to have to pay the increased tariff. So they're just that one thing of putting tariffs on these goods could throw these businesses off, and existing businesses is the ones that are are set to lose out. Persons who want to get into startup business right now. But my advice to them would be, you'd have to pay a wait and see game right now before you actually start any business. Which is why you don't even ever pushing till they're right since Trump coming. Business plan and all that. Because you now have to wait and see. Because these tariff and things that he's talking about, it's going to affect everything. And when I read the next article, you're going to see what I mean by it affecting everything. Down to a loaf of bread, it's going to affect. All right, Caribbean businesses that depend on these platforms will need to explore cost-saving strategies or alternative suppliers to manage the financial strain. Canada and Mexico have already announced retaliatory tariffs, and the EU and Colombia may also be targeted. So after a while, Trump seems like he will just target everybody. But you know, when they check Revelation and destruction of Babylon, isn't one friend them destroy, one friend, because he now turning on his friends, or so they see it as him turning on them, but at the same time, they have to find ways to reduce their deficit. That's another story again. $1 trillion per annum just to pay for loan maintenance, just to maintain the loans that they have outstanding. Looking at $1 trillion. But why not just cut the army? Just cut the army. I cut the army. Nobody not going to invade. Just cut the army. I cut military funding for 1 year. When I cut military funding for 1 year, what money they save? Almost $1 trillion away. Just slash it for a period of time. But the military industrial complex in America is so big. It gobbles everything. The military industrial complex. All right. You have countries that have a military first policy, like North Korea. They tell you right out. So it's the military that comes first. America have the same thing too. The same policy America have. They just don't say it. Same military first. There is nothing that America would require, and they would say, all right, we need this to be done, so we have to cut back on the military spending in order to achieve this. They cut back on the other things in order to achieve their military spending. That's the thing. That's why try as Trump may, he's gonna have to start somewhere. That's how they make money. It's a dirty, dangerous situation, dirty, dangerous game that they are playing. And it's going to gobble up their country. All right, Shalom says, Adal first last, Shalom to you too. All right, so they have themselves in a kind of situation which it seems as if not even the president can control it. Trump campaign and not starting any war, and I mean, it doesn't look like he can do 4 years without starting a war. Doesn't seem so. But unless the most I want to, walk things back, then you won't get any war. But the most I is pushing forward with these redemption plans. They're going straight into war. All right, next article. Gonzalez warns of economic impact on Caribbean from U.S. tariffs on Chinese ships. This article was March 27, 2025 from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The St. Vincent and Grenadines, their news this. And it's from Ralph Gonzalez that made the speech that we are going to read. Give me a minute. I want to see which of these on the article to begin. All right, we'll use this one. Try this one. Give the article a larger view. All right. So this is a picture of Ralph Gonzalez, St. Vincent and Grenadines Prime Minister. Look like a devil as well. I'm gonna tell you, everywhere the devil have to be fighting the devil. St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister, Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, issued a strong warning on Wednesday, that's last week Wednesday, about the potential severe economic consequences for the Caribbean if the United States proceeds with a proposal to impose a $1 million fee on any Chinese-built vessel calling on U.S. ports. There you have it. Now, the thing is, the Chinese, 50 years ago, China never produced so much things, you know. Now, they produce from a pin to an anchor, meaning they produce basically everything. Cars, China never used to make cars. Now they are dominating, setting forth to dominate electric cars. All right, Chinese never used to make ship. Now Chinese have a shipping industry. China can put out more ship per annum than any other shipbuilding port in the world. But personally, this is what I don't like with the Chinese. They have a mentality to gobble up a market. For instance, we here in Jamaica, we have land, so we can do agriculture thing. Let's take a simple little thing. Callaloo. Canning Callaloo. This is something that Jamaica could possibly dominate, you know. But we have never seek to say, you know, we're going to dominate this market and we're going to push out everybody else. No, we find our nice little percentage with share within the market and we survive with that and we live and let live. The Chinese don't seem to have a live and let live mentality. If you realize how they do business in Jamaica, they come into a town and pretty soon the entire town is gobbled up by Chinese business people. What about the natives for that town, for that country? All right, you cannot have a mentality where you don't think of live and let live. Even when Christ returns, the scripture tells you, even the earth will rejoice because Christ will have a live and let live approach to life. Except for the oppressor, it's just the oppressor. And it's just punishment. When the Most High is punishing you, just like he did with us, I mean, it's punishment. But outside of that, it's not like we're going to seek to kill off everybody who has done us wrong. No, we just punish them. Punishment will be last, will be for a period of time. And then you come out of your punishment, maybe, maybe you don't come out because, you know, you'll be treated so good. That's why it's called the kingdom of heaven. The only man it won't be heaven for is Edom. And that's because of his own doing. You know? With them nuclear bomb and thing. When the most I punishing them, he's going to punish them double. Twice as much as he punished us. It's just that. But like I said, the approach they have to business, the Moabites, is one which I don't really admire. So you know, yeah, you want to push out ship for your country, fine. But why try to push out everybody else? Now, countries going to have to put tariff on your ship simply because your ship is now overpowering them. Some people can't sing song. Not when me have my big bad army. Right? All right. So Ralph Gonzalez is blowing the trumpet in the Caribbean about this. And let's read on because this the tariff on the ship is a more serious consequence than just tariff on goods. And let's see why. Speaking during his weekly radio program on the state-owned NBC radio, Gonzalez emphasized the importance of this issue for the region, stating, if implemented as proposed by the US, so it's not implemented yet, they are proposing to do it, they can walk it back, or they might go forward with it. But Trump is saying, you know, these tariffs that they are putting out, they are going to see how it works because they are planning to put more tariff out. All right. So if they are implemented as proposed by the US, this matter will be one of the most severe blows to the economies of the Caribbean. Okay, there it is. I don't know if this is, let me say this is true. This is true. Okay. However, he added that he did not wish to be hysterical about the situation. Well, you know, I believe in, what do I call it? Early panic. I believe in panicking early in a situation. And that is what Ralph Gonzalez is doing now. You know, we call it early panic, meaning you're actually panicking now before the situation actually come into being. When you do that, you can now make adjustment for when the situation actually comes. But if you panic when the situation comes, that is where you're going to fall. That is why we have the Bible, you know. Most I tell us what he's going to do to put us into early panic. So when we read and we say that, you know, this can happen if you allow this to happen, then you can panic and say, oh shoot, it's best if I don't make this happen. So when Ralph Gonzalez is saying, he said, well, I don't want to be historical, but in truth and in fact, you as a leader within the Caribbean can now make plans and say, okay, if they actually do this, XYZ will be affected. How can I get around that? That is what the early panic does. It helps you to plan. All right, so I'm saying I want to be hysterical about the situation. But now read this part. If implemented as proposed by the US, this matter will be one of the most severe blows to the economies of the Caribbean. Right, that's what I tell you. The shipping tax that they are planning to put on ship, but just because they're made in China and used in US port. 1 million US. Let's read on. The issue was discussed in detail during a virtual meeting of Caribbean community, CARICOM leaders last Friday, and with the CARICOM private sector organization. Okay, so they start to do planning behind the scenes because, you know, when Rubio came out here in Jamaica the other day, I know there was something behind him coming here in Jamaica. It's not just what meets the eye. Yeah. So probably this was one of the things they came to prepare CARICOM for, because some serious blows are coming. All right. And what I would say to the poor, you know, many you have free access to water, you have seeds, you start planting. Right? Many times we look and say, we plant to sell. Think of planting to eat. Plant something because you can feel hungry and turn to your garden and, you know, take something from the garden or your farm and go and cook. Rather than, you know, even though you might be working, you know, you still don't have to do this. Because prices are going to go up. It's what prices are going to go up. I see all them preparation with the government and, you know, rolling back the income tax threshold and all that. Just remember this. Them people are not giving nothing for nothing. It's just that they're giving you these early. So save some money, make some plan, use that extra money, convert that little place in your yard space, turn it into a garden, because or if you can afford it, that little room you have there, use it to store victuals, you know, canned food and so on and so forth. Right? You might end up have to bail out some of your friends with some of them food there. You never know. Right? But it's really them we're expecting to feel the pinch in these times, you know. But if you are not prepared, then you know anything will happen. Because what? The white man is the devil, the Bible speaks of. And because he is the devil, he is going to cause some things to happen which, if you are not prepared, you will go down with him. All right, so we said this was discussed at a Caribbean forum, CARICOM forum. All right. Let's touch on scripture. The burden of Moab. All right, let me read. We always tell you the white man is the devil. There are other devils out there too. There are others who the most I want to punish. All right, let's go to Psalm 60 and 8. Book of Psalms, chapter 60, verse 8. And it reads, Moab is my washpot. All right. Moab is my washpot, over Edom will I cast out my shoe. Philistia, triumph thou because of me. All right, Moab is my washpot. Moab is the Chinese, they are the Moabites. And he's saying that there is washpot. A washpot is the first time you talk about this big metal pot that they use for, all right. The plantation house is used to have them. You know, they were big houses. And they have sheets and bedspread and all kind of thing. And especially whites. They used to have a big pot where they put live fire under this pot and use it for boiling clothes. Separate from a bathtub. A bathtub is not a wash pot. But a wash pot is a pot for washing. And what they use to wash in this pot is clothes and whites. So they used to boil the white, you know. That's how that is where you get it from. You get this thing from now where you wash your clothes in the washing machine and the hot water is connected to the washing machine. So the hot water go in the washing machine and help to wash. Well, first time you used to have to put actual fire on that pot, put these clothes in these pot, boil them with soap and thing to get them looking pristine. All right, not so again. And it says, over Edom will I cast out my shoe. You know, these Edomites. Well, casting out of the shoe is a way to curse somebody. Fling your shoes after them. Like what they do with George W. Bush, the time when he went in Iraq. They have to cite the shoes. That was the Arabs cursing him. All right. So the Most High is saying that Moab is Chinese. He's actually cursing the Chinese and the Edomites. Now, of course, he's going to use one to beat the other. And it looked like it's the Edomites who's going to beat the Chinese. All right, next, read some more on the article. I want to touch some scripture on Moab before I finish. All right, so read on. The issue was discussed in detail during a virtual meeting of CARICOM leaders last Friday and with CARICOM private sector organization on Tuesday. The U.S. investigation into China's dominance in shipbuilding and logistics began under the Biden administration. In January, the Office of the United States Trade Representative, USTR, released its findings proposing fees and restrictions on international maritime services linked to Chinese operated and Chinese built vessels. Listen, after World War II and after World War I too, you know what they did with Black Americans over there? They studied the Black Americans community and wonder, you know, them striving while we at war. And of course, it was during those times that the Ku Klux Klan was formed to take down these black communities. The white man is just the devil. No other way about it, right? So here now I'm studying the Chinese dominance in the shipping industry. Began that study from Biden in the Biden administration. And the findings and recommendation is that, boys, we have got to put fees, put tariffs on them. So you see, from Biden was in that's what I tell you, said the two party is just one is just right and one is just left on him. That's all it deals to it. Biden recommendation, Biden administration recommendation was that to put fees on these ships. And who is coming to lead? The next party, not the Democrats, the Republicans. So there's a follow through. The only we, the sheep, now is believing that, you know, one of them is for you and the other is not. All right. Right. The proposed high fees are part of a broader effort to shift more shipbuilding back to the United States. According to the USTR's February 21st statement, the proposal seeks to curb China's influence in global maritime logistics, including through fees aimed at penalizing ships built in China and promoting US-made vessels. Dr. Patrick Antoine, president of the CPSO, voiced concerns about the potential impact, warning that the fees would lead to astronomical levels of increased costs for goods transported from US ports to the Caribbean. He emphasized that such measures could have devastating social and economic effects, particularly for Caribbean nations like Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, the Grenadines, and the Grenadines, and Suriname. You know, this Jamaica name, not even called it Jamaica, smaller Caribbean island. But these smaller islands were, they enjoyed a couple good years, way ahead of Jamaica and Trinidad and Barbados, bigger Caribbean nation. Yeah, and when they come up with the Eastern Caribbean dollars, the EC dollar, stronger than the Jamaican dollar. So, you know, some amount of impact is now going to reach them. And so now we're over 50% of ships operating in these regions are Chinese made. So they use a Chinese made vessel to operate in their ports. Obviously, the other bigger Caribbean countries, even though we use Chinese vessels, yeah, we stuck to the Maersk and the Hapag Lloyd and, you know, the European and American ship companies. Gonzalez further explained that the US measures are not only targeting existing Chinese-built vessels, but are also aimed at discouraging future purchases of Chinese-made ships. Damn. This would affect shipping companies wishing to access the US market, both for inbound and outbound goods. I remember a couple of years ago, no, probably it was last year, I was reading something about the shipping industry and how the Chinese actually, what they call it, the place where they make the ship now, the shipyard. The Chinese make some shipyard where can push out how much massive ship per annum. No other country can do that. And no other country won't be able to do that for the next maybe 10 to 20 years. So if you know the white man's saying, nobody not supposed to be above him, you know, in his eyes. So they are now thinking of ways to bring down the Chinese. And they are going to succeed. We're going to go into the Bible and we're going to see how they are going to do that. We're going to see how they are planning and will achieve bringing down the Chinese. He noted that this would affect shipping companies wishing to access US market, both for inbound and outbound goods. He noted that the move would directly penalize Chinese ship operators and fleets in favor of US-built vessels. The Caribbean trade has links with the United States. So we are really exposed to the harmful effects of these policy measures, Gonzalez said, adding that major shipping lines serving the region, such as Tropical Shipping, Seaboard Maritime, and King Queen, rely heavily on Chinese big vessels. King Ocean, Seaboard Maritime, and King Ocean rely heavily on Chinese big vessels. These companies could face significant challenges due to the proposed fees. The Prime Minister also referenced the Jones Act, a U.S. law. All right, this is important. It's an important statement here. So now, this Jones Act, a U.S. law that requires goods exported between U.S. ports to be transported on vessels that are built, owned, and crewed by Americans. So America have a thing I call it Jones Act. It's what it says. The Jones Act, a U.S. law that requires goods exported between U.S. ports to be transported on vessels that are built, owned, and crewed by Americans. So they don't want other ship in them port. That's basically it. So that gives them the right to tax out any ship when they are made ship. Gonzalez warned that the proposed changes would put shipping lines like Tropical Shipping and Seaboard Marine in a difficult position, as a large portion of their fleets consist of Chinese-built ships. Okay. His stance aligns with that of Antigua's Prime Minister Gaston Brown and Guyanese President Irfan Ali, who also warned of the proposal impact on the region. And believe it or not, it's coming. And they won't be able to do anything about it. All right. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah. Because Jeremiah speaks of a time when the Messiah is going to bring down Moab. Jeremiah 48. So Jeremiah 48, reading from 1. Against Moab, thus said the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel. And like I tell you, the Moabites, that's the Chinese. All right. The God of Israel. Woe unto Nebo, for it is spoiled. Kiriathaim is confounded and taken. Misgab is confounded and dismayed. These major cities within the Chinese Moab, and let us cut it off from being a nation. So the same way all of them they come and say, come, let us cut Israel off from being a nation. And Moses is now saying that against the Moabites. and many of the other nations. So it says, Moab, come let us cut it off from being a nation. Also, thou shalt be cut down, O madman. The sword shall pursue thee. A voice, verse 3, a voice of crying shall be from Horanahim, spoiling and great destruction. Verse 4, Moab is destroyed. Her little ones have caused a cry to be heard. 5, for in the going up of Luhi, continual weeping shall go up. For in the going down of Oranim, the enemies have heard a cry of destruction. Flee, save your lives, and be like the heath in the wilderness. 7, for because thou hast trusted in thy works and in thy treasures, thou shalt also be taken. That's a Chinese. Chinese trust in them works, what they can do. Can do a great lot to them. We know not to trust in that. We don't trust in God. You know what him said? Because the Chinese trust in their works and in their treasures, that's their money. Thou shalt also be taken. And Chemosh is their God, shall go forth into captivity with his priests and his princes together. So even their gods will be cut down. So the Chinese dragon, you know, the dragon dance and the hear the dragon and this and the that and the that. That's Chemosh will be cut off. 8. The spoiler shall come upon every city. Woo! China, a whole lot of cities. Spoiler, these are those who come and take what you have during war. The spoiler shall come upon every city, and no city shall escape. The valley also shall perish, and the plain shall be destroyed as the Lord has spoken. Give wings unto Moab, that it may flee and get away. For the cities thereof shall be desolate, without any to dwell therein. So the Most High said that the cities of the Chinese, the Moabites in the Bible, will be made desolate. All right? Cursed be he that doeth the work of the Lord deceitfully, and cursed be he that keepeth back his sword from blood. So in the Most High say, get them, gotta get them. 11. Moab has been at ease from its youth, meaning from the Chinese have been coming up. Nobody have been troubling them. When they announced that they're going to build their nation, I said, you know, no nation, no trouble, no. They allow them to build. And he hath settled on his lees. This is a term used for winemaking. When you make the wine from the grape and you put it to settle over a long period of time. So the heavier part of the wine comes down to the bottom. The part that we would call the dregs. And then you would take off that liquid, full water. Full just liquid without any sediment. That's why when you look in a wine bottle, you don't see sediments. You allow it to settle on its lees. So it is saying the Chinese have been settled on its lees and have not been emptied from vessel to vessel. So if you put that wine to settle on its lees, meaning you put it to settle, but you keep throwing it from vessel to vessel, then the dregs will be always mixed in it. Not so with the Chinese. They have been allowed to grow. They have been allowed to settle. Right? They have not been emptied from vessel to vessel. Neither hath he gone into captivity. No nation has been taking them captive. Therefore, his taste remain in him, and his scent is not changed. This is Jeremiah 40, verse 11. describing Moab. And this was written from how long, and it's still relevant today. But the Most High is going to bring them down. Because in verse 12 he said, therefore, behold, the days come, said the Lord, that I will send unto him wanderers that shall cause him to wander, and shall empty his vessel and break their bottles. So the Most High is going to send nation against the Chinese. And, you know, it's looking to be somewhere between the US and Taiwan. All right? It's going to happen because the Most High said so. So, you know, Moab prepared to be emptied from vessel to vessel. All right? For strong is the God of the Israelites. Okay. All right. And Moab shall be ashamed of Chemosh, as the house of Israel was ashamed of Bethel, their confidants. How say ye, we are mighty and strong men for the war? Moab is spoiled and gone up out of her cities, and his chosen young men are gone down to the slaughter, saith the king, whose name is the Lord of hosts. All right, so the Lord of hosts is saying that the Moabites will be punished, and there's nothing you can do about it. All right, let's jump down to some other verses. Let me see, 25, what 25 says. The horn of Moab is cut off, and his arm is broken, said the Lord. Make ye him drunken, for he magnified himself against the Lord. Moab also shall wallow in his vomit, and he also shall be in derision. All right. So the Most High is saying this about the Moabites again. Jeremiah 48 and 26. Make ye him drunken, for he magnify himself against the Lord. He magnify himself against Yahweh. Moab also shall wallow in his vomit, and he also shall be in derision. For was not Israel in derision unto thee? Was he found among thieves? For since thou spakest of him, thou keepest for joy. Lord of mercy. So in other words, when we fell and was seen among the thieves, was Rome and so on, and whoever at the time, Moab saw us, but they jumped for joy. They were happy to see us go down, just like today. I mean, they have been amongst us for over 100 years. And what do they do? Many times you walk past them and you as a black person, you know, feeling, you know, they're well dressed and look at you and as if to say, hey, me control the cities, you know, and me control the stream, and me control that. But the Most High is planning to take all that away. Okay, Moab? And he said, was not Israel in derision unto you? All right. O ye that dwell in Moab, leave the cities and dwell in the rock, and be like the dove that maketh her nest in the sides of the hole's mouth. We have heard the pride of Moab. He is exceeding proud. His loftiness and his arrogancy and his pride and the haughtiness of his heart. These are the things that the Most High hold against a person. You think so much of yourself, and then you pushing that spirit against God and his people. He have you up for that. His loftiness and his arrogance and his pride and his haughtiness of his heart. I know his wrath, saith the Lord, but it shall not be so. His lies shall not so effect it. Therefore will I howl for Moab, and I will cry out for all Moab. Mine heart shall mourn for the men of Kirheres. So this is what he says will happen in Moab, and drop down to 35. Moreover, I will cause to cease in Moab, saith the Lord, saith Yahweh, him that offereth in the high places. So, this is the most I know attacking their religion, because they are being so loftiness of heart for two reasons. One, the Most High has not punished them. Go back up to verse 1. It says, oh, sorry, it's not verse 1. It's Psalms. I'll go in Psalms 60 and 8, and it says, Philistia triumph thou because of me. In other words, their loftiness and haughtiness of heart and so on. They think that they are triumphing because of themselves. But the Most High is saying, you are triumphing because of me. You have done so much against me. I've never punished you. I have allowed you to settle on your lease. I've never sent any nation against you. He has never done that. So they triumph because of the Most High God. Back to Jeremiah. Back down to 35. Moreover, I will cause a cease in Moab, saith Yahweh, him that offereth in the high places, and him that burneth incense to his gods. Anytime going on Chinese restaurant and things, you see they have this little Buddha statue thing, and it's some incense burned to it. That's what the Most High is saying. He's going against that. Therefore, mine heart shall sound for Moab like pipes, and my heart shall sound like pipes for the men of Kirheres, because the riches that he hath gotten are perished. So they're going to lose everything. Every head shall be bald, and every beard clipped. Upon all the hands shall be cuttings, and upon the loins sackcloth. There shall be lamentation generally upon all the outstep of Moab, and in the streets there, for I have broken Moab like a vessel, wherein is no pleasure. All right, so I'm going to jump all the way down to 46 and 47. Woe be unto thee, O Moab, the people of Chemosh perish. So their God is Chemosh. So the people of their God, all of them, perish. For thy sons are taken captives, and thy daughters captives. So that's what the Most High offer them, captivity. That is what he means by empty from vessel to vessel. Bring them into captivity. Yet will I bring again the captivity of Moab in the latter days. This is Jeremiah 48 and 47. Yet will I bring again the captivity of Moab in the latter days, saith the Lord. Thus far is the judgment of Moab. So, and we are in the latter days. That is why you see, never has all them military alliance going against the Chinese. Never. Even though they went through the communist war and all that. But all that was within China, so that was never a nation. Now they're going to Taiwan, and America going to get involved and all that. So it's going to be a showdown And the Most High is planning all this, right? So first thing, the Americans want to put tariff on their ship. Because I tell you, like I said, they have some ship factory there, boy. They can churn out some ship like how you churn out motor car. Yeah. But the I'm moreover, the thing they don't remember that was how England became how England dominated the world. England just churn out ship, and dominate the seas. You think they're going to allow China to do that? What happened? And moreover, the Most High is not allowing that to happen either. But I just said, knowing the spirit and the white man, ignorance in the nation about it. But the Most High not allowing that to happen either, because they have a loftiness of heart against God and his people, the Israelites. And he's going to put an end to it. All right, so time is up on us. So with that, going off into preparing for Passover. And we are saying pay your Passover fee, pay $200 for your Passover, and we fell and was seen among the thieves was Roman so and whoever at the time. Moab saw us, but they jumped for joy. They were happy to see us go down, just like today. I mean, they have been amongst us for over 100 years. And what do they do? Many times you walk past them and you was a black person, feeling, they well dressed and then look at you and as if to say, hey, me control the cities, and me control the stream, and me control that. But the Moses is planning to take all that away. Okay, Moab. And he said, was not Israel in derision unto you? All right. O ye that dwell in Moab, leave the cities and dwell in the rock, and be like the dove that maketh her nest in the sides of the pole's mouth. We have heard the pride of Moab. He is exceeding proud. His loftiness and his arrogancy and his pride and the haughtiness of his heart. These are the things that the Most High hold against a person. You think so much of yourself, and then you pushing that spirit against God and his people. He have you up for that. His loftiness and his arrogance and his pride and his haughtiness of his heart. I know his wrath, said the Lord, but it shall not be so. His lies shall not so effect it. Therefore will I howl for Moab, and I will cry out for all Moab. Mine heart shall mourn for the men of. So this is what he says will happen in Moab, and drop down to 35. Moreover, I will cause to cease in Moab, saith the Lord, saith Yahweh, him that offereth in the high places. So, this is the most I know attacking their religion, because they are being so loftiness apart for two reasons. One, the Most High has not punished them. Go back up to verse 1. It says, oh, sorry, it's not verse 1. It's Psalms. I'm going to go in Psalms 60 and 8, and it says, Philistia triumph thou because of me. In other words, their loftiness and haughtiness of heart and so on. They think that they are triumphing because of themselves. But the Most High is saying, you are triumphing because of me. You have done so much against me. I've never punished you. I have allowed you to settle on your lease. I've never sent any nation against you. He has never done that. So they triumph because of the Most High God. Back to Jeremiah. Back down to 35. Moreover, I will cause a season Moab, saith Yahweh, him that offereth in the high places, and him that burneth incense to his gods. Anytime you go to a Chinese restaurant and you see they have this little Buddha statue thing, and it's an incense burned to it. That's what the Most High is saying. He's going against that. Therefore, mine heart shall sound for Moab like pipes, and my heart shall sound like pipes for the men of Kehiris, because the riches that he hath gotten are perished. So they're going to lose everything. Every head shall be bald, and every beard clipped. Upon all the hands shall be cuttings, and upon the loins sackcloth. There shall be lamentation generally upon all the outstep of Moab, and in the streets there, for I have broken Moab like a vessel, wherein is no pleasure. All right, so I'm going to jump all the way down to 46 and 47. Woe be unto thee, O Moab, the people of Chemosh perish. So their God is Chemosh. So the people of their God, all of them, perish. For thy sons are taken captives, and thy daughters captives. So that's what the Most High have for them, captivity. That is what he means by empty from vessel to vessel. Bring them into captivity. Yet will I bring again the captivity of Moab in the latter days. This is Jeremiah 48 and 47. Yet will I bring again the captivity of Moab in the latter days, said the Lord. Thus far is the judgment of Moab. So, and we are in the latter days. That is why you see, never has all them military alliance going against the Chinese. You know. Never, even though they went through the communist war and all that. But all that was within China, so that was the nation. Now they're going to Taiwan and America going to get involved and all that. So it's going to be a showdown, and the Most High is planning all this. All right? So first thing, the Americans want to put tariff on their ship. Because I tell you, like I said, they have some ship factory there, boy. They can churn out some ship like how you churn out motor car. Yeah. But I'm moreover, the thing they don't remember that was how England became how England dominated the world. England just churn out ship, and dominate the seas. You think they're going to allow China to do that? What happened? And moreover, the Most High is not allowing that to happen either. But I just said, you know, knowing the spirit and the white man, ignorance in the nation above him. But you know, the Most High not allowing that to happen either, because they have a loftiness of heart against God and his people, the Israelites, and he's going to put an end to it. All right, so you know, time is upon us. So with that, you know, going off into preparing for Passover, and we are saying pay your Passover fee, pay $200 for your Passover, and right, pay your Passover fee, and also be at the Passover. All right. All Israelites are welcome at the Passover. Unless you're on the exemption list for whatever reason. And of course, remember this, you have to be there in a clean state. Right? You should be there in a clean state. That is our law. But there's no one who will be standing at the door to check and see if you're clean or you're unclean. You have to check yourself. So that shows you that we're really following Christ and his grace rather than, you know, imposing the law. But just letting you know, practicing this is how to keep the Most High's high holy days. Right, so with that, we say, you know, Shalom. Remember the Passover coming up. Pay $200. If you think you're not going to make it, send a donation towards the Passover, stating that, you know, well, I don't have it on this. I don't know how to set up the thing there. So we can find it if we have it. Do I have it? I don't have it. that Passover, the Passover icon for you to scan. No, I don't want that. So you could actually pull out the farm. No, that one allow you to pay in increments of $200. But if you go to ISUPK.com and you go pay your tithes, you can send a Passover donation. Send it as donation. It's a tithes and offering. You can send it as an offering towards the Passover. All right, until next week, should have another episode, conflict zone, and of course, Trump 2.0 never cease to intrigue, right? So we see again what is happening there. As we keep on looking at how his decision affects the Caribbean, we live in the Caribbean. What we're actually looking for is opportunity, what opportunity we can make in all the madness that he's doing. Opportunities will be open. Until then, we said, Shalom.